Here's how to build a voice agent in Vapy that can make and receive calls. I'll show you the basics of building an AI receptionist. We'll then put it through some tests. Then at the end, we'll have a look at the costs and compare it against some of the other voice AI tools so you can see whether or not Vapy is right for you. So we're going to head over to workflows and create a new workflow. Now you've got a couple of templates you can choose from here. We're going to start from scratch for this one, and we're going to call this our Golf AI Receptionist Oakwood Park. And when this canvas loads, it's already created an initial conversation node for us. So I'm going to click into that, and we're going to set the first message as Oakwood Park Golf Club, how can I help? I'm going to leave everything else as the default, and we're going to connect that to another conversation node. So let's just drag that over here. And this is going to be the route that we're going to go down if the caller is looking to make a booking for a tea time. We're going to click on this condition and just say, if the user wants to make a booking for a tea time. And in this conversation node, we're going to pop the following prompt here. And just to explain what we're doing here, we're saying if the caller wants to book a tea time, we're going to ask for their preferred date and time for the tea time booking. We're then going to run a tool, which we're going to connect that to just down here in a second. Then once a suitable time is confirmed, we're going to gather their name, whether they want to do 9 or 18 holes, the number of players, and the phone number to reach them for the booking. Then we're doing a bit of date sanitization just to make sure when we book this in Google Calendar, the date is collected in the right way. Also, if, for example, they say, I want to book on Friday, we're passing the current time using a now variable so that the voice agent knows how to turn relative dates like next Friday into absolute dates like the 12th of December. Then we're just telling it a few things like don't ask the caller for an email address. Generally with voice agents, asking for email addresses over the phone is a bit of a minefield just because if you get one character wrong, then the whole thing is pointless. And getting people to spell email addresses letter by letter is a little bit tedious. So we're avoiding email addresses and just using the phone number as the identifier. So next we need to connect this to a couple of tools to check the availability on our calendar and also make the booking. We're going to actually set up the configuration for those tools separately in a moment, but I just want to initially get the kind of scaffolding of the workflow all kind of making sense. So this first tool is going to be our check availability. As I say, we'll kind of hook this up to Google Calendar in a moment. And then this tool is going to be make a booking. Then after we've made the booking, then let's just change our conditions to once the user has provided a date and time they'd like to book, and then the user has confirmed the date and time. And then afterwards, we're going to add another conversation node to tell the caller that the booking has been made successfully and to ask if there's anything else that they need help with. If they say that there's nothing else they need help with, we're going to end the call. So let's just change that to if the user said there's nothing else they need, then we're going to end the call, and I'm just going to say politely end the call so it says a couple of things and doesn't just hang up on them straight away. So there we've got a basic scaffolding for the happy path for if someone wants to book a tea time. We now need to go in and create our tools for checking the availability and making the booking. So we're going to go into tools, and first we're going to create a tool for checking calendar availability. So we're going to give this a description, and we're going to set the time zone as our current one, which is London. Then to get your calendar ID in Google Calendar, if you click the 3 little dots here and click settings and sharing, if you scroll down here, you should be able to see that there's the calendar ID here. So you can just copy and paste that in here. So next we need to create the tool for creating an event. So same kind of process, and we just need to give it a description. So make a booking for a golf tea time on the calendar. And we're going to change the time zone. Important that this lines up with your actual time zone, otherwise you're going to get calendar events booked at 2 in the morning. So hit save. Now, in order for these tools to actually work, we need to set up an integration with Google Calendar. So to do this, we can click more and go to integrations, scroll down to Google Calendar, which should be here. And we just need to click through these to give Vapy access to our Google Calendar, and we should be all good. So we can now go back into our workflow and connect up our tools. Here we go. So Google Calendar, check availability, and the make a booking one, we're going to select Google Calendar event create. The other way that you can do this, which is slightly more elegant, is in the sidebar here for this prompt, we can go down here to tools and we can just give this conversation node access to the 2 tools that it needs. One last thing that we're going to do before we give this a test run is set a global prompt. Now, I generally like to keep global prompts relatively small because otherwise we're going to be sending way too much context. It's just going to increase the latency. So generally, where possible, you want to break your prompts up into the specific nodes that are relevant. But for the global prompt, this is a good place to set things like the tone, the listening style, and give the agent a bit of context on what it's trying to do. So I'm just saying, you're a customer service voice assistant for a golf club. This is your persona. Ask one question at a time and how to manage the call. So we'll start with that. If we notice any weird behavior, we can obviously adjust the prompt as we go to tighten this up. So we'll save that and give this a little test run.
Oakwood Park Golf Club. How can I help?
Hi, I'd like to book a tea time on Thursday.
What time on Thursday works best for you?
Ideally around 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock on Thursday is available. Would you like to go ahead and make the booking? So could I get your full name, the number of players, and if you'd like to play 9 or 18 holes?
Yeah, so it'd be for 3 players, and we are doing 9 holes, and my name is Marcus.
Your booking for 3 players at 2 o'clock on Thursday for 9 holes is all set, Marcus. Is there anything else I can help with today?
No, that's all good. Okay, so it actually made the booking in Google Calendar. Obviously, there's quite a lot that can be improved and tweaked there to make it a bit tighter, and we've only created the happy path if everything goes to plan, which in the real world, it never does. So now what I'm going to do is add a bit of handling for edge cases. For example, if someone gets frustrated or needs to get transferred to a human, or what happens if a time is not available. Obviously, this is just a demo, so we're not going to build this completely out, but just to show you some of the additional features that you will likely need to use when building your first agent in Vapy. So let's first add a bit of handling for if at any point during this call, someone wants to get transferred and speak to a human. So first thing I'm going to do is add a conversation node. And the reason I'm doing this is because with conversation nodes, you can set them as a global node, which means that at any point in the workflow, the agent could decide to jump to that node. So we're going to set this down here to make this node available from any point in the conversation, enable that as global. And the condition is going to be user wants to speak to a real person. Next, I'm going to connect that to a transfer call node. And what we will do is set the phone number of the actual golf club so it transfers the call to them. And the rest we can sort of leave as be. Now, we'd probably want to set a polite message here and just say, politely tell the user that they're being transferred to a colleague. So we don't actually need to connect this to anything because it's a global node. It can be jumped to from anywhere. So we're just going to kind of move that over here. Now, the other scenario that I want to build is what we do if time is not available. So we need to add another conversation node here. And the condition is going to be if the time is not available. So for this node, we're going to drop in the prompt, tell the user the time is already booked, and suggest the closest available time slot. We're also in that node going to give that access to the check availability tool. And then I think it makes sense to connect it back to that node. So we then still ask for their name, the number of players, and number of holes they want to do. So let's save that, give that a try and see if that is any better. So what I'm going to do in this next test is try to make a booking at the same time at 2 p.m. and hopefully it should tell us that that's not available and suggest either 3 o'clock or 1 o'clock. Let's see if that works.
Oakwood Park Golf Club. How can I help?
Hi, I'd like to book a tea time on Thursday.
What time on Thursday do you prefer for your tea time?
2 p.m. if possible.
I'm sorry, but 2 p.m. is already booked up. The closest available time slot is just after 3 p.m. Would you like to book that instead?
Yeah, that would be great.
Do you want to go ahead for 3 p.m.? Full name and players, please.
It's Marcus and there'll be 3 players.
Your booking for Thursday at 3 p.m. is all set for Marcus and 3 players. Is there anything else I can help with today?
Nope, that's all good. Thank you. Okay, so there's a few things that we can do to make the tone a bit more natural, and you can see that we're starting to get quite a lot of latency creep in, particularly when it's using these tools. So in this case, if this were a production agent, probably what I would spend a bit of time doing is parallelizing some of these conversations and tools so that it can check the availability while also still talking. So for example, rather than asking me name, number of holes and number of players, and then checking. We could, for example, ask for the date, run the check in the background, and then ask me those questions while it's making those checks. So there's little things like that you can do to just not so much reduce the actual latency, but reduce the perception of latency, which for something like this, I think would make a lot of sense. But this is a demo. I'm not going to actually do that. As you can see, the main functionality here is booking the tee times. It's checking the availability correctly using a tool. But at basic level, that is how you build a voice agent in Vapy. A few final little things that I'll show you, just kind of nice to know things. So firstly, if you click this up here, you can get access to the JSON for the workflow. The nice thing about this is that you can stick this into ChatGPT and you can ask it to rewrite your prompts, make improvements, potentially even critique the flow for potential errors and edge cases. So this is really useful if you want to quickly debug or make some improvements to your workflows. Next thing I'll touch on is variables. So for example, where we're asking for the name and the number of holes, it's a little bit reckless how we're doing it at the moment to just capture that in text and add it to the title of the calendar invite. You can see here it said 9 holes, here it hasn't. So to make this a little bit more structured, we can use variables. And the way to do this is to click into the conversation node, and at the bottom here you can see extract variables. So we could add a variable, for example, and call it number of holes. Make that a number. And you could say either 9 or 18 holes. So we can take that variable and then sending API requests or configuring our tools, we can tell it explicitly then to use specific variables. You can also see a list of all your variables here. So you can see we've got this extracted one here. You've also got some default variables. I think we used the now one earlier to tell the agent in the global prompt what their current time was. And the final thing I'll touch on is just in terms of the models. I believe Vapy defaults everything to 4.1, which is a really good starting place. If you do start to notice that you have issues with latency, like we started to see there, you do have options like 4.1 mini, nano, or the 4.0 cluster, which generally are going to be a little bit faster and less latency, but you can sometimes notice a drop in quality when using some of those models. There's really no right or wrong, but generally speaking, starting with 4.1 as your baseline, and then every model is really just a compromise between cost, quality, and latency. So depending on what's important to you for your use case, you can have a bit of a play around and see if you can reduce cost, reduce latency, or improve quality, depending on what you're noticing is kind of lacking with your agent. So let's take a look at pricing, and then we'll touch on how Vapy compares against other voice AI tools. So like most tools in this space, Vapy charges based on what you actually use. And if you go to their pricing page, which I'll link to below, you can scroll down, enter what you expect to use, and it will give you a rough estimation. You can also go to voiceai.guide. This is a little thing that I built for comparing all the different tools in this space head to head. And generally what you find is that almost regardless of your setup, Vapy is going to come out as the most affordable platform, which kind of makes sense because Vapy is essentially pitching itself as providing infrastructure with a couple of tools on top of that, whereas the other tools are offering kind of like a full no-code platform for building voice AI. So you can see the breakdown here. Essentially, Vapy charge a 5 cents per minute platform fee, and then the additional cost on top of that depends on the model that you're using for LLM inference and the voice engine, the text-to-speech model that you choose. So if we look at all these head to head, so if we're basing it on 1,000 calls where each call is 2 minutes, so 2,000 total minutes per month, and assuming we have a fairly standard setup, so using GPT 4.1, and we don't need things like HIPAA compliance, Vapy is coming out at around about $180 per month. Now, the most likely competitor to Vapy that you might be considering would be likely Retail AI. And as you can see, it's about $80 a month more expensive than Vapy for the same number of minutes in the same stack. Now, the only quirk with Vapy where it potentially would come out more expensive is if you need HIPAA compliance, because Vapy charge an additional $1,000 a month for HIPAA compliance, whereas some of the other platforms are HIPAA compliant by default. So that is the only quirk I found where potentially it would be more affordable to go elsewhere. Also, conveniently, last week I ran a latency test across all of the main tools that I keep an eye on. And as you can see here, Vapy, as it stands, have the lowest end-to-end latency. So not only are you paying the least, but you're also getting the fastest response times on your agent. So as it stands right now, for me, Vapy is kind of a no-brainer. It's very easy to build on. The latency is really good. It's the most affordable. And it also just gets a lot of the boring but important stuff right. Things like testing suites, evaluations, the data security compliance, all that boring stuff that you should care about but is a little bit dry. it does very well. The only other area that I would flag as being a little bit underwhelming on Vapy is integrations. So because the expectation with Vapy is that most people using it are working directly with the API, they don't have a huge range of native integrations. Whereas if you use something like Synflow, for example, they've got kind of 15 to 20 one-click integration. So if you're trying to connect it into something like Go High Level or Make.com, MAN, it's much easier to do that in Synflow than it is in Vapy. But again, you are making other compromises elsewhere. So overall, Vapy is a really good choice. There are a few things that are worth knowing before you get started though, and I created this video where I walked through everything that I wish I knew about Vapy before I got started. See you in the next video.